Well, Fastlane 2016 was a thing. It went by and it kind of happened pretty much exactly like everyone thought it would. I didn't really get to see the pre-show match. I missed that, so I can't really comment on it. But overall, it could have been a lot worse, but it could have been a lot better. It was kind of, I don't want to say it was just there for a pay-per-view, but that's pretty much what it was. I mean, a lot of the matches were actually pretty good, and some of them were better than I thought they would be, but it was just a lot of things were pretty much either safe or just straightforward, and there were a couple of things that were really had me scratching my head on why they would do that, or pretty much just anything like that. Like, I don't know why they thought to just throw in a random Curtis Axel match right before the main event, or why that whole New Day segment had to go on as long as it did, which, don't get me wrong, like, the New Day are amazing, but that whole there was like a whole 30-minute period between AJ Styles and Jericho and the main event where they could have taken some of that time and given maybe another 5 minutes to a couple of the matches, maybe just put in another match entirely. They could have probably moved Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio to the actual main pay-per-view instead of putting it on the pre-show. They could have done Axel versus R-Truth and something else on the pre-show. So I don't know why that happened as it did. Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks versus Naomi and Tamina was better than I thought it would be. I mean, like, it wasn't offensive or anything like that. It was pretty solid. I wouldn't say it was like, oh, this is one of the greatest women's matches of all times. No, but Becky and Sasha are both really good. Naomi and Tamina can go better than a lot of the women on the roster, though really Naomi needs to get a better finisher, because I'm sorry, just doing the running ass thing is not something that is really, threatening or damaging looking or anything like that. But I shouldn't be trying to use, rational logic when discussing wrestling, so I don't know what I'm doing with that. Owens and Ziggler had a really good match, but they always have really good matches. They've had about 15 of them now, so I shouldn't really be surprised by that. It was kind of funny, though, that the crowd was a lot more behind Owens than they were Ziggler, when it was supposed to be, Ziggler was supposed to be the hometown guy. I don't really have much more to say about that other than it was solid. With Big Show, Kane, and the Ryback, so I'm stuck saying the Ryback now because everyone does. Thanks for that. Beat the Wyatt family, and I, for one, have no idea what they were thinking with this. Big Show and Kane they're probably on the way out when it comes to their careers, or they're probably going to retire soon. Both of them are past their primes, and as much as I like that they still want to keep with it, it just isn't in the best interest of really anyone for them to just beat the Wyatts. And Ryback hasn't really connected with people like they would want him to, and it just felt really like they dropped the ball a lot here. I know that with how the main event went, it looks like they're dropping the whole idea of Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar, which is fine. I can understand that if they're going with something else for it, but that still doesn't mean they have to make the Wyatts look weak. I still don't see a rational reason behind that, and I don't really know where they go from there. I don't. Charlotte versus Brie, I think that probably went as well as it could have gone. Ric Flair was doing Ric Flair things. Charlotte was being a lot more of a heel than she'd seemed to be before, though I haven't really been watching Raw all that much, and with how things have been lately, I don't really have the urge to. But Charlotte was good in it, and Brie did what she could. I like that she did a bunch of Sun tribute spots in there to Daniel Bryan and one to Nikki Bella, even though I don't really like Nikki all that much and think people saying that she's improved a lot might be overrating it a little bit. But I think they booked it the way they had to. I have no real complaints with it one way or another. AJ Styles going over Chris Jericho I think was probably the best way for this to go. I think if AJ had come out of the feud between them looking weak and losing the rubber match, that it would not have been good for him. It would have stopped a lot of his momentum, and Jericho's always been really good at putting people over as they come in or as they're on the uprise, so I like that he did the job here in the third match. But I'm not sure how I feel about him kicking out of the Styles Clash, but again, since AJ still looked really good and he still won the match and it was the longest one on the card, so anything that I would say against it is really just nitpicky at this point. So it was fine. It was really good. I liked it. And that's actually something with this pay-per-view in general. A lot of the matches themselves were pretty solid except for the six-man. And I guess Axel versus R-Truth, but no one really even knew that was going to be on the card until it just randomly happened. So that I don't really count that. But it wasn't the match quality that I don't think anyone had a problem with. I think people acknowledge that the actual matches themselves were really solid and really decent, and I think people know that, a lot of the people out there can go and were allowed to go. It's just some of the booking decisions and the way that it seemed like it just was one long, well, as it says, it's a fast lane to WrestleMania. It seemed like it was something you could just fast forward and know that nothing was really going to change. With the main event, I will admit that I missed part of it because either things came up or I couldn't really get a glimpse of what was happening, or just things over here on my end that were taking me away from it. But it was a good match. I can't say that anyone in that match did necessarily poorly overall. I wasn't a fan of the ending, though, and not just because Roman Reigns winning is probably the most expected and predictable thing there, not just because him winning without turning heel or anything doesn't feel like it accomplishes much. It's just that Ambrose was there going crazy on Lesnar with chair shots, and that took him out of the match. Then he hits Reigns a couple of times with them, turns around, and then just gets speared like nothing happened. Now, I don't know if there was some whole thing that, Reigns has this fighting spirit, or the vest protected him, or whatever, but it was just out of nowhere, and Reigns didn't go heel, Ambrose didn't go heel, Lesnar sort of just left after. There was nothing really to it. It was just one clear cut clean match where it felt like as soon as you went in, you knew exactly what was going to happen. It was like it was almost like a match you felt you didn't need to watch. And even though Ambrose can really get into it and he can really get people behind him, it still felt hollow. It felt like there was nothing to it, even though we really would have wanted there to be. But I will say, though, I think that regardless of this, Ambrose is probably going to win Money in the Bank. I hope that's what he does. I know it's still months away, but I feel like they would be crazy not to give it to him. But I know I said that last year, and they gave it to Sheamus of all people, so they could very easily do something dumb this year and give it to, I don't know, who's someone that doesn't need it? Alberto Del Rio, let's say, just for the sake of argument. They could do something like that, but I hope they don't. So WrestleMania is going to be headlined by Triple H and Roman Reigns in what may as well wind up being an empty arena match, depending on if the crowd can calm down or not. It doesn't feel like WrestleMania is going to be headlined by what's a big name match. If you look at WrestleManias of the past, like WrestleMania 17 or 15, both had Austin versus The Rock in them. You look at WrestleMania 20, you look at WrestleMania 19, you even look at WrestleMania 30. All of those had big name matches in them. And this just doesn't feel like it's up there. And I can understand people saying that they think Vince hates money, because it's like it's like whoever is running the company just seems to be flat out refusing to listen to what people want, even when the ratings have dropped to their lowest in, I think it's 18 years, 19 years now, which you'd think would be something that can't be ignored. But I guess it can. I guess they have enough money to do so. I'll have to see what happens on Raw, because maybe I'll check it, part of it, maybe I won't. I honestly don't know. I'll probably just wind up reading up on it afterwards to see if anything noteworthy happened, though knowing my luck, it probably won't be. It'll probably just be Triple H talking or something. But yeah, it's funny that both Fastlanes actually just felt like they were killing time for Roman Reigns to get to the main event of WrestleMania. And I hate having to say that, because I want to see Roman Reigns have an actual good career. I do. I just think they've been pretty much fucking him over every time they can. It's not like they're trying to make him succeed regardless of whether people want him to or not, when I think if they had just left things naturally and just sort of had him be the quiet guy who just beats the shit out of people and doesn't say anything and just slow build it, that it would have gone over so much nicer than just randomly in 2014 just launching him right into the main event picture. I really think if they had given him a run with the Intercontinental title, or even the U.S. title, it would have done wonders. But at this point, he's in too deep for that, and we can just hope that somehow things get turned around and somehow he'll either go heel or he'll find some new character development, or something will happen that will just make him able to relate, to be relatable more, and just that would just get him over in the fans' eyes. Because as much as everyone shits on him and doesn't want to see him in the main event, and I'm among those people who don't want to see him headlining WrestleMania, I would much rather see Dean Ambrose there. But as much as I say that, I don't want him to get completely sunk. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can really do except wait and see what everything after WrestleMania holds. So that's been my thoughts on Fastlane. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that between now and WrestleMania something good happens, and that at WrestleMania something better happens. But until then, I guess I'm out.